When you first start learning guitar, you tend to learn chords as shapes. You learn that this is a G chord, this is a D chord, and this is an A minor, and so on. A little further along the way, you become aware that there are alternative ways of playing the same chords. For example, you learn bar chords, so you can now play G like this, D like this, or A minor like this. But what no one tells you in these early stages of guitar playing is that there are something like 40,000 different chord shapes you can play on the guitar. And clearly, memorizing shapes alone is not going to get you all that far along the road to mastering this vital element of guitar playing. The system of chord formulas is simply a method of defining all chord types relative to the major scale. To better explain this, let's show you an example. At the top of the screen are the notes of the C major scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Next, we've written out the formula for major chords. This is expressed as numbers, in this case 1, 3, 5. To apply the formula, we simply select the corresponding notes from the scale. So in this case, that means the notes, the first, the third and the fifth notes, C, E, G. If we pile these notes up on top of each other, as shown at the start of the bottom line, we have the chord of C major. Notice it is customary to repeat the keynote, C in this case, in the upper octave as well. Finally, you can see how by playing the notes from the chord formula one at a time, I produce a C major arpeggio. Now, when we look closely at the familiar shape that we first learn as a C major chord and work out each individual note that we're playing, C, E, G, C and E, we can see that those are the three notes that come from the first, third and fifth steps of the C major scale. C, D, E, F, G. And if we play the middle four strings of the chord straight up and down again, you can hear the arpeggio. But this C chord shape is something of a special case, because most chord shapes on the guitar don't produce the notes of the chord arranged quite so neatly in the order given by the formula. When we play a basic D major chord, for example, and work out the notes, we're playing D, A, D again, and F sharp. Well, these are still the 1, 3, 5 notes from, in this case, the D major scale. So D is note 1, but the next string I'm playing is the fifth note, the A. And then I'm playing the 8th note, and then I'm playing the third note right at the top here, the F sharp. And the reason we have to do it this way round, 1, 5, 8, 3 instead of 1, 3, 5, 8, is it's just physically impossible to play an open chord in D with them in the correct order. So if I play this open D, the only other places I've got an F sharp are here, where I can't play that note as well as the open D because they're on the same string. So I'm forced to play this F sharp right up the top here. And that's why we have to put the chord in that order when we play D as an open chord. As it happens, the rules of harmony generally work irrespective of pitch, so the reordering of the notes doesn't really matter in terms of how the chord functions. And notice that playing the arpeggio in the correct order is no problem, as we can play the D note on the open string, followed by the F sharp note on the same string at fret 4, and then the A at fret 2 on the G string, and the D fret 3 on the top string. But how can we use chord formulas to find some of the other 40-odd thousand chord shapes that we can play on the guitar? Well, taking the chord C major as a nice simple example, once we've used the formula to get the basic notes of the chord, in this case C, E and G, the next step is to find all the occurrences of those notes across the whole fretboard. If we look carefully at the patterns formed by these notes, we should be able to spot the 5 shapes that form the basis of the caged system of fretboard orientation. Notice that each of these are combinations of the notes C, E and G. So, played together, they produce various voicings of the C major chord. And so we have the C-shaped C, the A-shaped C, the G-shaped C, the E-shaped C, and the D-shaped C. And it's called the caged system because of the order of those shapes. C, A, G, E and D spell the word caged. But within each of these shapes there are more than one way of combining the notes C, E and G, giving us several more ways of playing a C major chord. We can also bring open strings into play. The E note on the open top string can be combined with C and G on the adjacent strings. Or the open G could be combined with C and E notes fretted on adjacent strings. I hope you can begin to see how, by learning to understand chord formulas, you can open up scope for creativity many times greater than by relying on simply memorizing shapes. On the Secret Guitar Teacher's Guitar Music Theory course, we take you step by step through the process of understanding chord formulas, working all the way up from the simple chords like C major to the more complex chords as found, for example, in jazz music. It's a fascinating journey, and one that really puts you in charge of your playing and widens the horizons of what you're able to do on the guitar. In the next video in this series, we'll take a brief look at the subject of harmonizing scales. It's really all about how different groups of chords belong together in different keys. Look forward to seeing you then.